Hello, welcome back. Gallery Z, 100 Bellows Street, unit number 8, Warwick, Rhode Island. We moved December of 2020 after 20 years of being on Federal Hill, a historic Federal Hill in Providence, Rhode Island. Going to present to you a large-scale exhibit of all original arts. Artists from around the world, Philippines, San Francisco, Lebanon, Armenia, Iran, Rhode Island, and other places. And featured artists are about 8 of them, and altogether we have 134 pieces of art. The title of this exhibit is Dalla Collezione number 2. 11 years ago, in 2010, we had Dalla Collezione number 1. So we're featuring number 2. This is basically a collection of serious art, original art, from the artists of the stable of the gallery. So just featuring one of the artists featured here is my dear friend, artist, and Gallery Z curator, Julian Penrose. Julian Penrose is an artist that assembles work, does collage work, and he does all original works of various mediums, various shapes and forms. Everything he puts his work into is works by items that he has collected, he has found. I call him my streetwalker in a joking way. And a lot of material that he actually exhibits comes from family and heirloom. Lots of travels, Philadelphia, training, studying in San Francisco, originally from Brazil, now living in Providence, Rhode Island. And Julian and I go back close to 15 years as a curator and gallery artist, and I'm very proud of his work. And altogether we have 15 pieces of his works. Some are wall pieces, and some are table pieces, countertop pieces. And we're just going to continue the works here of this particular piece called Bereavement. Hilda Carniol is the artist, originally from Pennsylvania, lived in New Orleans, and she did this piece actually while living in New Orleans. She passed away about 15 years ago. It's called Bereavement, original oil on board actually, and it's a scene of a march of a funeral, right after a funeral. And going back on the left top here, artists, very established artists from London, living artists, a fellow in the 60s, Peter Nixon, his name is, and he's very symbolic, traditional love scenes and very emotional scenes to evoke attention and love, and a lot of collage work and a lot of embellishment. Then we're going to pan over to the left here, the tall piece here by the name of Mark Spazzaro. This is actually a piece that I bought from AS220 back about 25-30 years ago. Then we have another piece of Julian piece on the left here. Another collage assemblage work. I love this 007 here, the little snorkel. It was probably his collection from the Waterford, Connecticut family estate area. And we're going to pan down lower to an artist that unfortunately passed away in 2018. And this is an artist that was born in 1924 by the name of John Russo. We've shown his work for at least a decade. He passed away unfortunately in 2018 and born 1924. He was more known as a man of steel. He was an educator. He had a lot of students working on the pieces with him. This is, my wife Jane calls this a little symphony orchestra. Of course, there's various musicians and items of interest in the theater. And then also the cyclists. He loved doing the cyclists. And these things weigh, you know, quite a bit. It's all steel, welded steel, very fine work, polished steel, and all bolts and nuts. Then we're going to pan over straight ahead here to a very original piece from the 1960s, actually, depicting Indonesian people working in the fields. It's a piece that I've had in my collection, and it comes from my great aunt Sona Boosian from New York, from Flushing, New York. And above we have a Venetian scene by artists that we represent many years. Lee Shabbat, fine artist. It's an oil on linen. It's an original piece, and his works in mostly depicting a lot of Italian scenes, but he does a lot of commission work and rather large collection of a portfolio. And he was part of he and his wife was part of a gallery called Shabbat Gallery in Providence, down the street from Gallery Z on Atwells Avenue. We're going to pan over to an artist also that also passed away 8 years ago, born in 1933, artist by the name of Helena Stockar. Helena was originally from Czechoslovakia. Both Helena and Ivo migrated to the United States, immigration process, a couple of years. They ended up in the late 60s in America after the Czechoslovakian communist era, revolutionary movements, and all the sad things in life. Helena's work mostly could be dismissed maybe a la Chagall or other abstractions that she's done. A lot of portraiture, a lot of things up in the sky, beautiful palette, beautiful color, very emotional works. And we're going to pan over down here to a lot of her works that are actually original studies. These are original, beautiful prints, and they're like $200-300. They're not prints, I apologize. They're original studies. Pen and ink and acrylic, some watercolor, all mixture. And then we have some vertical here on the left side. These are all Helena Stockar original pieces. And they're 16 by 20, nicely, simply matted. They can just pop in a very generic prefab size of a frame. This is 1977 actually. This is gouache. It's called Paradise. It's on paper, of course. This particular piece is called People of the Beach. People on the Beach in 1977. These go back, this is 1985. This is called Recollection of a Younghood. So, and I want to pan over up here to one of our dear friends, a wonderful artist originally from Los Angeles, an Irishman, an Irish boy. I call him Marty McCorkle. That's his name, and studied in LA, then ended up in San Francisco, and he and his partner eventually moved to the Philippines. And Marty's works always very consistent style, even though lately he's been drawing lots of Eastern or Filipino looking men and women. He had various models while living in San Francisco. I love this particular piece. This is my favorite piece that Marty did, and it's the soldiers, half a dozen soldiers depicting carrying a coffin. But look at their faces, look at the coloration, look at the movement. Francis Bacon is somebody that he was definitely fond of. I cannot say he replicated, but he's very close to his style. Over here on the left, we have a couple of more pieces of Marty McCorkle, and this is the model that he painted constantly. Her name was Pat. So Pat on the table, Pat on the rug, Pat holding her hair, Pat touching her hair. He was a wild guy. And we're going to pan over to the left, and this is artist, RISD graduate, alumni now from Rhode Island School of Design from Providence, Rhode Island. Originally from Cleveland, Ohio, went to Manhattan. I'm very proud of Michael Sherman. This is an aerial view. He did a whole bunch of series of aerial views of Staten Island, different areas, but most of his works and studies were in Rome. multiple semesters when he was doing his undergraduate work and later on graduate work in RISD and getting college credits and living in Rome and spending 4 or 5 in the morning into the chapels and to the various sanctuaries, the pews, the church pews. Unbelievable work. Very Duotonish, very Roman, very solid pieces. On the left, we're going to see another one of Sherman's work, and then we're going to go lower to this particular piece of Marty McCorkle, a very playful piece called Divers. And we're going to end this wall with another Pat. I think Pat's running her hair, or Pat touching her hair is the title of that. On this wall we have a very eccentric artist, originally from Moscow, Russian artist, living now in Cambridge, Massachusetts, by the name of Alex Khomsky. He was born in 1954, studied in a very high-level school in Moscow, the type of school, and he said when you checked in, you never could check out. It was protected by walls, but very historical, very playful, very political, if I may. And this top one is another one of these naughty, crazy approaches that he did. A rabbi holding a child, his wife holding a child that is not from their skin, and he's wondering where this whole came from.